temples stood in ruins, the scent of burning incense thick in the air. The walls, once untouched by time, bore the scars of those who had fought to control history itself. And in the center of it all, High Priestess Zainab stood. She had carried the burden of truth for far too long. Now, she placed it in their hands. There were only two paths left. One would end this war forever. The other would begin it again. One of them would have to be erased. Not just from this past, but from all pasts. From the fabric of history itself, gone, as though they had never existed at all. The weight of the decision settled over them like an eclipse, heavy and inescapable. Nyala could not choose. She had fought too hard, lost too much. Power was all she had ever known. And to give it up now, even for the sake of time itself, was something she could not bring herself to do. Jabari could not choose. He had fought for a throne that had never been his, had lived the reality where he was finally king. To erase that now, to return to the uncertainty of his former life, was a burden too great to bear. Kamari had already been erased once. He had nothing left to lose, and yet he would not surrender himself again. He had spent too long fighting to be remembered. He would not let history swallow him twice. And so, it was Ismat who finally stepped forward. She had everything she had ever wanted. She had reclaimed her name. She had walked the palace halls not as a servant, but as a noble woman, as the person she had once been. But she was not that person anymore. The past had changed, but she did not belong in it. She was a fragment of a life that had been stolen, and if she remained, the world would never be whole again. The others had kingdoms, power, legacies. They had roles in history that had always belonged to them. But she had been a ghost, even before the Lotus had given her another chance. Perhaps she had never been meant to exist in this version of time. She hated her life as a servant and a queen. And so, with steady hands, she reached for the Lotus, not to rewrite history, but to erase herself from it. The petals crumbled between her fingers, dissolving into the air like dust carried by the wind. Time rippled, the world shuddered, and Ismat was gone. Not just from this moment, not just from the rewritten past. She was erased from everything. The palace halls that had once been hers